Welcome back to the DMGs That Are Wrong YouTube channel. My name is Mike, and like always, we got Gage and Dylan here with us. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys hit the like button, smash the subscribe button, and turn that notification bell on so you're notified anytime we upload a video. Now let's jump right into it. Alright, jumping into the video here. As you can tell by on your screen, we're going to be going over the top 12 fantasy football quarterbacks going into this upcoming season. For all you fantasy guys out there, gonna branch out into some fantasy football content.
Yeah,
so
we love it.
Yeah,
It off with a fun controversial one that I'm sure everyone has a huge opinion on.
I mean, for me, it's not too controversial. I mean, he's only number 12. I think
Just the player in general.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Yeah. He is someone that
not too controversial for me.
Yeah. I need to make this clear.
Follow me to the Bahamas, boys.
Well, it's not controversial to me. Everything else is pretty controversial. Sorry. I need that cleared out. But yeah, sorry. Controversial dude, but I don't think this is a controversial ranking.
No. So he's got an asterisk right there because, it all depends on how long he's suspended, if he's suspended, right? If he's 4 games, I think you could probably put him in the top 10 anyways, still. If it's 6 games, probably 12th is fine. And if he's not suspended at all, I think he goes top 5 easily. But,
yeah. These stats are from his full year in 2020, right?
Yeah, so the last year he played.
Are we saying this is what he's gonna finish the year as, or what he should be drafted as?
Finish the year as.
Okay. I get you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see him finishing top 5 if he's not, if he doesn't have any suspension or injuries. But I would definitely not take him top 5 if he's not suspended, in my opinion.
But like we said, we got these stats up here. In his last year, he finished with 23.1 fantasy points per game. It's a crazy amount. I think he was the number 1 quarterback that year in fantasy. Or no, It was Mahomes. Is that Mahomes year?
Yeah.
It was his first year coming in. That's what it was. But he was first and second, like in every category. So he's obviously really good on the field. As for like average draft position, he's currently like the 13th quarterback being taken.
Okay.
Usually around pick 95.
That's going to change as it gets closer to the season.
But I mean, there's not much to say about him. He's obviously he's a fantasy machine. The only drawbacks are how long he's going to be suspended, and then how will he fare on the Browns, a new team, even if it is better overall team for him.
So the thing that, and I know this kind of contradicts some of my previous statements, but say the Browns go out and they are like a top team in the NFL, right? Like Deshaun Watson is hitting, Amari Cooper is hitting, and everything like that. I don't think he has as many points as he does the year where he led the NFL, because he had to fight every single fourth quarter to even try to get a win. And you guys have extremely good running backs, so I think to take that into account, that's the thing, is like he's so hard to really judge. So like I could see him going out and having this terrific year, just passing yards out the butt, all that, but he could just do enough in those first 3 quarters to make that run game a whole lot easier in the fourth quarter, and who knows,
But all of that's why he's number 12 with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know. But, I don't know. Moving on to number
definitely
11.
keep your eye on him.
Say it again?
I said definitely keep your eye on him, but yeah. Number 11. Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott.
Trash! No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That was a joke. I'm sorry. Terrible one, I know.
He's had one of the top offenses last couple of years when he's on the field. I mean, he had that 2 years ago. He had that 5-game stretch where he was on pace to hit like 6,000 yards or something before he got injured. But I mean, you don't have Amari Cooper, so you got CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, and my boy Jalen Tolbert kind of coming in and being that new third wide receiver. I don't think it's as good as the year that he was unbelievable for fantasy football, but I still think they're a passing team now, and he should be either good.
Especially since Zeke is washed. And I'm going to irritate people with
Yeah.
that comment, but it's true.
But Tony Pollard is no joke, yeah.
Yeah, Tony Pollard was the better running back last year.
For fantasy.
No, in general, too.
I was gonna, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah.
Better.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is last year's stats for him. I mean, 37 touchdowns, only 10 interceptions, 4,500 yards. He had a rushing touchdown, which is surprising and I guess not surprising at the same time because he did get hurt scrambling and running because he used to run quite a bit, and he's got the ability to, but he didn't really do it last year. But averaged over 20 points per game. I honestly, there's not really much to say about him. He's really good. He has proved everybody wrong, and whether you like him or you hate him or you think he's overrated or not, from what he was as a 4th-round pick to where he is now, it's impressive. So.
No, my joke was awful. He did have 3 2-point conversions though, like that he scored himself. So that's where that's his rushing touchdowns basically for you. Mm-hmm. So he had 4 in a sense.
That's an extra 2 points.
Yeah.
So I'll take any day of the week.
Points is points.
We should say that these fantasy points, these are standard points. We're not doing any of those crazy extra ones that a lot of fantasy groups run. A lot of people get a lot of points for quarterbacks and whatnot. So. Yeah,
and that total is 330.56. By the way, sorry, I don't know why it's so low. His total fantasy points last year was 330.56.
Okay. Good to know.
His average draft position currently is 64th. So he's the 8th quarterback being taken, and he's averaged around 64.
Wow.
That's quite high. Yeah, that's higher than Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady.
Jeez, wow, yeah. I mean, I would hold off on that because you don't know what life is like without Amari Cooper yet.
Mm-hmm. And I should preference this, guys. The average draft position that we're getting is based off of Fantasy Pros. Everybody, you can go and do like mock drafts and stuff with people, live drafts and just normal, and they accumulate all that data and they put it in there based on what everyone's picking. So, who's 10th? Who do we got up there?
A-Rod.
Aaron Rodgers. Takes a big hit just because Devontae's done, right? Like that's.
I think so, yeah. And then their running game has gotten better, and so has their defense.
Better.
So I can see where he kind of falls back as far as production goes. Because, I do think he's going to have a hard time finding someone to rely on in, this. I mean, it's hard to rely on rookies. It's hard to rely on Sammy Watkins or old Randall Cobb. But, A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones are already who they are. So I think they're going to be the stars of this offense, which kind of means not so great of a fantasy season for Aaron Rodgers.
And not so great still means really good, just not what people have come to accustomed to with Aaron Rodgers. Last year, MVP year, obviously, 37 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, just absolutely insane ratios right there. That's just crazy to look at. 4,100 yards. He had 3 rushing touchdowns as well. Just really, really, really solid quarterback. Just really losing that weapon of Devontae. It's pretty much a whole new receiving corps. Excuse me. Right?
Yeah.
Christian Watson. That's who they picked up. That's new.
Samori Torrey.
Romeo Dubs.
That's right. They did get Romeo Dubs. Randall Cobb. They still have Alan Lazard. Hopefully getting Tunyon back for a full year. So we shall see. I think it'll be more spread the wealth. But
yeah, for sure.
We just haven't seen Aaron Rodgers without his guy in years.
A while.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. He's actually 66th on the average draft position. So just a couple behind.
Ahead.
Prescott.
Oh wait, no, behind Gator, right? Sorry.
Yeah, like one and down. Like he's taking 66th overall. Yep. That's about eighth. Yep, around eighth. Quarterback taken, seventh quarterback taken. So.
Okay.
9 we got Jalen Hurts. Now I want to preference this. This is fantasy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do not think Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback.
Yeah. Look at the rushing yards and touchdowns.
Yes, for fantasy football that matters, and especially if you do standard leagues like the ones that we play in. Those rushing quarterbacks do a lot better than the quarterbacks that just throw a lot of yards, because those rushing yards count more points. So, that being said, he did have 21.41 points per game last year, which is quite a bit. He had 16 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, but he also had 10 rushing touchdowns. Almost 800 yards rushing, 3,100 yards passing. The fact that ratio is 16 to 9, he didn't even, like, that's just crazy. Just above a touch, like barely above a touchdown a game. And yeah, he's ninth on the board.
And he didn't have AJ Brown to throw to too. So I mean, we're factoring in. They got AJ Brown coming in here, and then they get year 2 Devontae Smith. So I think Jalen Hurts. I mean, he's got all the weapons to be top 10 for sure, and his rushing ability definitely helps him a lot too. There's times where he was, I think, the number 1 quarterback in the year, but
he multiple weeks where he was finishing top 3. Those rushing touchdowns add up a lot.
There's 6 points to compare to throwing for 4-point touchdowns.
He is currently like 12th being taken, 11th being taken, around 78 overall, which is just behind Stafford and Russell Wilson, and then quite a bit ahead of Tom Brady, Derek Carr, and Deshaun Watson. So
good
moving on to
fantasy
8.
quarterback. Matt Stafford.
Man,
there we go.
He had no rushing last year.
No.
Take it away,
no rushing.
Not a rushing quarterback, but makes up for it with those yards and the passing touchdowns. 41 passing touchdowns, 17 interceptions, almost 5,000 yards passing. 43 rush yards, 0 touchdowns, but obviously he's a few points behind Jalen Hurts there in the points per game average. What was he on the list for quarterbacks last year? Just give me 2. I think in 2 seconds.
He can finish 3rd or 4th.
Did he? Yeah. So
yeah.
Season rank was 5th here on this. I'm not sure if that's in total or just quarterbacks, but
that's just it's always different. Every site that you look at, every system you look at is all different. Overall, around the same amount of points.
But he still put points on the board, and getting 20 points a week out of your quarterback for the average, that's solid. That's good points right there from your quarterback.
Yeah. They lost Bob Woods. They lost. Didn't they lose their tight end, Higbee?
No, they have Higbee still.
Oh, I thought he went to Seattle or something. But they lost Robert Woods, and Odell Beckham is most likely not going to sign there, or if he does, it's not going to be until after he's kind of healed up from his injury. So you got Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson compared to Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, and Odell Beckham.
Granted, Odell Beckham came very late in the year.
Yeah.
And then
Van Jefferson's not bad either.
Yeah, that's what I was bringing up. They're expecting Van Jefferson to kind of take that next step to have that deep threat ability. But the biggest stat right here is he had over 2.5 touchdowns a game. Depending on how much your touchdowns are worth, that's a lot of guaranteed points every week.
Mm-hmm.
For me, for fantasy, I really like the consistency. Like I don't like those guys that give you 45 one week, but then like 16 the other week. Kind of like it if you're like 25 all the way through, or if I can get my wide receiver to get me 10 to 15 every single week, and I know that's what's going to happen. I'm okay. Like I kind of like that, like kind of solid consistency, and that's what I had. I had Matt Stafford last year, and I was never upset. There was a 3-game stretch towards like almost the end of the year when they were playing pretty bad, but then they picked it back up. So no big deal at all. We already talked about it, but he's taken 74th overall. It's kind of his draft position. So, I guess we can take a pause right here. Where do you guys like drafting quarterbacks usually? What round do you take your quarterback in?
I usually wait till like the 4th or 5th at least. I just think the value of getting your Mahomes or Herbert is not as great as getting like your, wide receivers 2 and running backs 3 and stuff like that. Because I mean, you can, if you're in a 8 or 10-man league, you still have access to a top 10 quarterback usually until round 8. So I usually wait just because you have less drop off from the top tier than you do in other positions.
Yeah, I usually go 6th round. That was like my go-to. I wouldn't even look at quarterbacks until the 6th round. And then this last year, quarterbacks were just flying off the board all of a sudden. Like everybody was drafting them really early. So I like went against my normal thing, and I went quarterback 5th round. I picked Lamar Jackson, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do the no Ravens or Steelers shenanigans this year. I'm just going to pick best player available, and Lamar Jackson, thank you. You did nothing. Moving on to 7th. Who do we have? Got Kyler Murray. So he's dropped down a bit for us here because of the DeAndre Hopkins suspension.
Yeah.
And losing Christian Kirk. Whereas he's not worth how much money he got paid per se. He was still a really good player for them and helped produce quite a bit. So we'll see what happens with Kyler Murray. He also, where he excelled in running before, he didn't do it too much last year. I mean, he only had 5 rushing touchdowns. He only had around 400 yards rushing, which is, I could think, 2 of his lower totals in his 3 years playing. He did have 3,800 yards passing, but he only had 24 touchdowns, and he had 10 picks. James Conner took a lot of touchdowns last year.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize he only played 14 games.
Huh. Remember, he got hurt for a couple games?
Huh.
And they played, what was his name? McCoy? Was it McCoy that
Colt
played it?
McCoy, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Dang, I totally forgot about that aspect of it. Yeah, so I mean, he dropped 3 games, and he still had some extremely good stats.
Yep.
One of the things I would say is they still have Zach Ertz, who showed up and was a big help for the whole we don't have DeAndre Hopkins right now deal. And they also added Marquise Brown, which, if he catches the ball, is better than Christian Kirk. So it'll be interesting to see how they function. I think they'll be a little bit more consistent without D-Hop as they were last year. But you would hope.
They crumbled. They crumbled without him.
But they started off hot, which means if they start off hot without D-Hop and they get D-Hop later, maybe that averages out. I don't know. But I do have to quote my cousin. I don't know if I said this in the video where we were talking about the NFC West, but I asked him, and mind you, he's like, I think 12 years old, but he's a big Cardinals fan. And I asked him, I was like, what do you think of the Cardinals season this year? What do you think they're going to do? He's like, about the same as last year. And I was like, okay. And then, like, he just throws out, just let down Arizona another year in a row. I was like, oh, shoot, dude, you're a little too young to be that pessimistic about the Cardinals.
So far, it has proven to be true. He did
fair.
average 22 points per game last year, though, which is a good amount, a very high amount. And he's also being the 5th quarterback taken right now, going around 51st overall.
Wow.
So depending on how much you believe, that's 4th or 5th round pick, depending if you do 10 or 12-man leagues. So about average position, not much change from last year.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Didn't think about
Sixth overall, though, I think is where we got Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. Unfortunately, it'll have to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers now. I don't know if Gronk's coming back.
He's going to come play for the Bengals.
He did say he wants to play with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, he said that's the only other quarterback he would play for other than Tom Brady.
Yeah, and then Tom Brady unretired. He's like, no one's stealing my boyfriend.
Yeah,
Get out of here. Tom Brady was number 1 in our league last year. He finished number 1 in ours by a ton.
Crazy.
He had a crazy year. Obviously, you can just look at the numbers. 43 touchdowns, 12 picks, 5,300 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, too.
How did he not win MVP last year, man? I thought he deserved it over Aaron.
I think it's just the fact that Aaron Rodgers protected the ball so well. Like, the crazy...
Yeah.
4
I mean, like,
interceptions.
Yeah, but he also threw like
8 less.
he also threw like 10 less touchdowns.
He threw 37, right? Isn't that what we?
Yeah, he threw 6 less touchdowns.
Yeah, so
I mean, like I get the efficiency and like stuff like that, but I just think when
But I
you put
agree, I
up
thought it was gonna
5,300
be high.
yards, yeah,
I really
43
did.
touchdowns.
And every year, every time, it's just like, oh, he can't keep doing it. They're gonna decline. He can't keep doing it, and yet somehow he's gonna do it. And I don't see it slowing down any worse this year. Honestly,
No.
You're getting Mike Evans back, who's a stud. You're getting who did they pick up? Was it Russell Gage?
Russell Gage.
Yeah, they picked up Russell Gage. It's like a really good player for them. They're getting they signed Godwin back. He should be healthy for the start of the year. Honestly, it's the only I think you could take like 5 touchdowns away if Gronk doesn't come back.
Yeah,
I think you can like honestly say that because that is a safety blanket for Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He knows exactly where he's going to be all the time. So that's not going to be great for them. But yeah, the only reason why he's not first is because he doesn't have that rushing potential that a lot of other guys do, right? That's really it. I mean, he's going to throw so many touchdowns.
yeah. I mean, he had
is
2
that
rushing
offense.
touchdowns last year from these stats, so
Yeah.
Tom Brady's getting
Watch
more
out.
agile in his.
Watch out.
Yeah.
But moving on, we got 5th overall. We got Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens. I struggle with this one. I drafted him last year, and he consistently put up 14 to 16 points every effing game, and then decided he wasn't going to play the last 6 games.
Yeah, they kept on saying he was questionable, and then he just wouldn't play.
Yeah, we talked about it. We had a recap, and we're like, I think that he's. I was like, I watched the game that he got hurt. I was in the stadium, and I was like, there was no way that was just a rolled ankle. That is severely hurt more than what they're trying to let out, and he didn't play the rest of the season.
It's crazy.
That being said, it is Lamar Jackson, right? We can't put him down. It was just I'm salty because it was a bad year for me. But I mean, he had 12 games. He had 16 touchdowns passing wise, 2,800 yards, 13 interceptions. Wow, that's just bad. He only had 770 yards rushing, only 2 touchdowns.
8 of those interceptions were in 2 games, or in 2 games.
Yeah, against the Browns. Threw 6 picks against the Browns in 2 games.
Well, didn't he had 2 games with 4 picks in both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he had 2 4-pick games, but then he weeks, he threw 6 picks against the Browns.
I gotcha.
And then he had the game against the Colts where he goes down in the 3rd quarter, and then he's like, "Oh wait, hold up, we can still win this. I'm gonna come back in and play," and he came back and beat us. So.
And that was what, week 4 or 5?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and I was like, see, this is why I drafted Lamar Jackson. I don't care if he's a Raven, he puts up points. Look at that, 35 points. I won this week, baby, and then he went back to 14, 15.
Yeah.
But that's not going to keep the same way. I mean, you could take away his weapons. It does not matter fantasy-wise. I mean, he will get his rushing yards. He will get those touchdowns. It does not matter. And he averaged 21 points per game basically last year. And on our league that we run, for some reason, interceptions are just not a total that they count against. You could throw a pick and it doesn't even matter, basically. It doesn't take away your points. It's the most annoying thing ever. No matter how many times we tell our commissioner to switch it, Greg. He never does. So if you guys one of those guys that are doing that, make sure you switch it. Picks should count for something. It should be negative points. But Lamar, he's a stud. You really can't not put him top 5, right? Like
I was about to say we gotta stop bashing Lamar Jackson, or else someone's gonna get mad.
like we bash him, like make jokes, right? But fantasy football is a completely different story. He's incredible.
Oh yeah.
He's currently the 4th quarterback being taken. He's going 52nd overall.
I feel like fantasy football brings out the objectiveness in so many people.
The realness.
Because the objectiveness.
Oh, no, I meant like also the realness. Like
Oh,
people
yeah,
will be like,
realness,
Lamar
yeah.
sucks. Lamar's trash, and then but
I'm gonna put him on my team.
yeah, but then you're like, yeah, Lamar's really good. I'm gonna draft him.
Yeah. So no,
Fantasy has a way to shut everybody up. You can hate any player you want, talk all your crap you want. And I talk a lot of crap on Lamar, and I was like, I'm drafting this dude 5th round. I don't care.
Exactly.
Yep.
I saw Josh Allen get off the board, and I'm like, nah, Lamar, you got it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to lose this year. I got Lamar Jackson.
Oh yeah.
L.
And I'll probably do the same thing this year. If he's on the board, I'm going to be like, you know what?
Pass. All right. Enough Lamar slander.
No, Lamar's
I know.
great, obviously. 4th overall, we got Joe Burrow from the Cincinnati Bungals. If you guys won the Super Bowl, you'd be called the Bengals, but you didn't, so you're the Bungals still. Obviously, just an incredible year. He's a beast, and he got better. So like he averaged that 20 points per game. But if you take away like the first like 7 weeks of coming back from that injury, like they were like crazy numbers of what he was putting up. And I mean, their O-line only got better on paper. He got all of his weapons back. Yeah, they have a run game that is a legit run game to keep people from just trying to cover all game long.
As long as they got their halfback draws on 1st and 2nd down, like they did in the playoffs.
I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, he reminds me of Tom Brady. Honestly. Like, watching him play and just take what's given to him every single time. Like, all right, I'll take this 5-yard. All right, I'll take this 10-yard. All right, I'll take this. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
He really just just nickels and dimes you, and then he hits you with one of those big ones. And adding that Jamar Chase element to it really just boosted his numbers. 34 touchdowns, 14 picks, 4,600 yards. 2 rushing touchdowns. He's gonna be a beast this year. He's actually like the 6th quarterback being taken right now. They have him 55, below Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson is what people are picking. I'm surprised because like the next 3 guys we're gonna go over, are obviously the big 3 that everybody knows, but it's like a 20 pick difference in between them, which I find kind of interesting. Even though, I mean, it's not like those numbers are like dramatic differences between the guys. So we'll see. I'm interested. I think he might be a probably one of the better value for picks because I think he can end being in the top 3 pretty easily.
Yeah.
And people are not drafting him like such. He's going in the late 4th to early 5th round. So. Moving on to 3.
Oh,
we got Pat.
This isn't Kenny Pickett?
No.
No.
Dang it. That's what I... Okay. Well, we'll go with what you guys think, I guess.
Okay. We got Patty Mahomes, Kansas City Chiefs. Quarterback, obviously. Perennial just stud since he started. I mean, top 3 every year, basically. Crazy. You can't go wrong with him. You'll have a great year if you do. We only just kind of dropped him a little bit beyond the other 2 because the other 2 quarterbacks, they kept their guys, and the Chiefs, they just kind of lost Tyreek Hill, which was a huge weapon for Mahomes. That helped them a ton.
Yeah. Well, it changes the defenses that they're going to face, too. Like, I mean, you put a certain defense out there because you're not letting Tyreek Hill past, your 2 safeties. And so this year, they're going to get different sets of defenses and stuff like that. So,
I mean, if you look at it, like, people were talking about, like, how he was kind of getting figured out. He was human last year. Like, he's not doing it too good. He's not doing too good. And he ends up with 4,800 passing yards, 37 touchdowns, only 3 picks, a couple rushing touchdowns, and finishes with over 22 points per game. I mean, if that's his down year, that's you can't go wrong with
I don't
that.
want to see another up year then.
Yeah, seriously. He's actually now being the second quarterback. He's the second quarterback being taken, and I think that with fantasy football, people don't like 1 year things. People want to see a couple years before they go and like draft you really high. So they have him 27th overall, which is 3rd round, which I think is just crazy.
Wow.
But that's like the trend now with fantasy football. These quarterbacks are just moving, like creeping up higher and higher with where you're taking them. They have him 27th overall, dude, in the 3rd round. That's crazy. 10 picks above what we're going to have next with this guy in Justin Herbert.
Stud.
Yup.
Had
This
him
guy
last year.
is Fun to watch. I don't know why people are not drafting him over Patrick Mahomes. He kept all of his weapons. His offensive line is great, and
His defense just got really good too.
yeah. But they throw a ton, even when they're winning. That does not matter. They don't have like a traditional run game. Their best
And
running
they-
back's a receiver, basically, with Eckler. You know, like
And-
they
And they
the
throw
ball.
on 4th down too, so all those punts become passes now.
They do, yep. But I mean, obviously, 17 games played, 38 touchdowns, 5,000 yards receiving or throwing. Jeez Louise, 300 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. He finished with 23.28 points per game, almost 3. That's a crazy number, and yet he's being drafted 3rd overall, 37th overall pick, which is still a crazy number. That's 3rd to 4th round, early 4th round. This was my baby, his rookie year. I picked him up on the waiver wire in like the first week of the season, second week of the season, and Justin Jefferson, and I ran with him and Justin Jefferson throughout the year, the rookie years, and then I was not able to get him again last year because I talked with Mikey, and Mikey decided that he was going to draft every single person that I liked, and told him about because he had the pick right before me.
I did not do that on purpose. I also wanted those guys.
He's like, I'm gonna draft Nick Chubb now. Okay.
So
Yeah, okay, I did that one on purpose.
Are you kidding me?
So this year I have something kind of similar. We maybe say this for the running backs, but
What are you saying, Dylan?
so this year we were all drafting live, like my whole league, and my brother turns to me. He's like, he was picking between 2 running backs. I forget who it was, and he's like, if it was you, like, would you take so and so or Jonathan Taylor? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's gonna be sharing the field with Marlon Mack and Naheem Hines, so like, I don't know if I would go with Jonathan Taylor. And then he doesn't take Jonathan Taylor, and then I take Jonathan Taylor like right after him, and he has like one of the greatest seasons out of the running backs this year. It was great.
That'd be so salty.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, Justin Herbert here.
Yeah. Sorry,
I'm
that was
sorry.
a tangent.
Alright, fantasy football tangents just brings out
Yeah.
some good memories. Obviously, this guy's a stud.
Yeah.
He's gonna be incredible.
That was my quarterback last year. Beast.
And then the best quarterback in the league, Mikey's favorite player in the NFL,
That's
has
facts.
actually came out of the closet for him on multiple occasions. Josh Allen,
Yeah, it's Josh.
quarterback number
Powerback.
1, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Obviously, I mean, there's not much you can say about him.
He was their best running back last year too.
Yeah, that's not gonna change. Honestly, they drafted a guy, but it does not matter.
Yeah. No, James Cook is still gonna get a lot of use, but it's a beautiful shirt there, Mikey.
Yep. Mikey lost the forfeit last year in our pick'ems, so he is an honorary Josh Allen and Bills fan this year against his will. 36 passing touchdowns, only 15 picks, 4,400 yards, but he also added almost 800 yards rushing and 6 rushing touchdowns. And then he had the highest point total per game. He had 24.5 points per game, which is a
Yeah,
nutty
under-
amount.
Unreal. What is crazy is like last year you'd see him in the shotgun, he would get the ball, and then they would have all their linemen, their swing tackle, and their tight ends just swing to the right side of the field, and he's just
Power
running
over
behind everyone. It's like Lamar Jackson, but just a 6'6" running back. So,
Cam Newton again, basically.
oh yeah,
Except this guy can torch you.
yeah.
Well,
And there's no signs of
Cam
stopping
Newton,
for
yeah.
him. There's, they didn't lose any weapons. I think they've only gotten better this year. So,
yeah.
I mean, they're the favorites right now.
Every year I want him. Every year I want him. But this draft position is always what throws you off. He's getting picked 21st overall.
Wow.
That is second round if you're in a 12-man league, which is just.
I would.
You would draft him over another running back?
Well, if he's giving me rushing yards and touchdowns like that, and he's throwing for 4,500 yards, like, I mean, you're putting up points that you can't find somewhere else on a consistent basis. So, I don't
That's
know.
fair.
I would do it just for the consistency of it all, unless he's playing in the snow against the Patriots. So,
He is he is a stud. I don't, we didn't have any like quarrels when we were making this list. It was Josh Allen number one, easy, move on to the next. But if you guys have made it to the end of this video, hit that like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button so you guys can follow us for more NFL content. Do hit that like button and let us know if you guys like these kind of videos, because this is the first time we're going into fantasy stuff, and
yeah.
if it gains some traction, we'll do some more. If not, we'll just keep fantasy football for stuff for us to like and talk about. But
And if you have any like different opinions, just let us know. We like to talk to our community and reach out to the people that comment. We try to comment to almost every reply we get, unless for some reason they're just not worth replying to. So we like to do that. So feel free to comment, and we'll respond pretty quickly.
yes, sir.